Okay, this will be the last of the videos containing problems 17 through 21, and that will conclude our review for quiz number 1. Number 17 goes back to our, somewhere in chapter 2, we were studying relative maxima, minima, increasing and decreasing intervals. And before we even start all this, I want to be sure that I remind you that for increasing and decreasing, you use your x values and you use parentheses, never brackets. Now, as we take a look at this graph, the relative maximum is the highest point that you can actually identify. You cannot use infinities. So the relative maxima is this point, and it's -1 at x equals 1. They've got it nice and labeled for you there. I hope we could see that on the camera. Relative minimum, they've got it nice and labeled. It's -19 at x equals 7. Now, where is it increasing and where is it decreasing? Looking at the graph, when you start at the left, it's increasing up until you get to that maximum, and then it starts right here to decrease in that short little interval, and then it starts increasing again. So, there's 2 increasing intervals from -infinity to 1, and then it's also increasing from 7 to infinity. So when you take a look at that, that would be answer C. And then of course it's decreasing from 1 to 7. So that's answer B. Number 18 gives you a quadratic function and asks for the vertex. Determine if that's a maximum or a minimum. And then it asks for the range and intervals on which it's increasing and decreasing. So 4 things we have to do in number 18. There's the quadratic function. First of all, the vertex. X equals -b over 2a. 16, because it's positive because you've got a negative here and a negative there. So positive 16. 2 times 2 because a is 2. So that will come out to be a 4. The vertex is 4 comma something, and you find that y value by putting the 4 in for x, using your calculator. 2 parentheses 4 squared minus 16 parentheses 4 plus 34, and you'll get 2. So the vertex is 4, 2. Determine if that's a maximum or a minimum. If A is positive, the parabola turns up. So that vertex right there, 4, 2, would be a minimum. So the answer to B is minimum. And it says find that value. So the minimum value is 2. Remember, anytime they say the word value, they want the Y number. The range, because it does turn up, I've already sketched it here in the B part. Your lowest range is 2, and then it goes to infinity. So the range, answer C, range is going to be bracket 2 to infinity. I don't know if that's showing up on the screen or not. All right, and then finally D, where is it increasing and decreasing? Again, I've got the sketch starting at the left. You're decreasing to get down to the vertex, and then you're increasing. So that sketch has helped us a whole lot in answering. Part D, increasing is going to be from 4 to infinity. Decreasing is going to be from negative infinity to 4. Always use parentheses. Number 19 gives us a picture of a graph. And it asks us for the domain and the range and whether or not this is a function. All right, so domain. This is number 19. X values left to right. So when you start at the left of this graph, it's a white dot. That's a parentheses. -6 is that X value. Go all the way to the left and you've got a black dot, bracket, and when you come up to the X, it's 5. Range, the very lowest, you start at the bottom, come across to the Y, it's -8 and it's a black dot. The very top is +8 and that's a black dot, so you use a bracket. Number 20, is it a function or not? Yes, it's a function. And you can tell by anywhere you want to draw a vertical line, it only hits the graph one time. Number 20 is a quadratic, but it's a special kind of quadratic. I don't recommend factoring or the quadratic formula. I recommend, since you only have an x squared and a constant, take that constant to the other side, which makes it negative. Divide by 3, which gets you a -2. To get rid of that exponent, use the square root, and you use a plus/minus square root on the the right-hand side. That negative is going to produce an imaginary number. Square root of 2 is a decimal, so you leave it alone. Plus or minus I square root of 2. And then our last one, number 21, is again asking you which one of these graphs, which one of these sketches of graphs describes the end behavior. Okay? Its degree is 6. Degree means the high exponent. 6 is even. But the lead coefficient is negative. It's -pi. When you have an even degree and a negative lead, both, I'm having to write this all the way down here at the bottom, both ends turn down. So when the degree is even and your lead is negative, both ends turn down, which would be, looking back up at your graph choices, it would be answer A. And that concludes the review for the midterm.